What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday. Dan Kasper Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online. SportsTalk1051.com. Stream it up over there. You got your Google Alexa home devices, the app, and of course the video stream that is now rolling on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Hopefully, you're all off to a fantastic start on this Thursday morning. If you are already up and at 'em, what do we got on the good old game plan for us this morning? Well, if you missed the end of the Bucks game last night, you missed a little bit of a ruckus. Bucks picked up the win. Okay, dropped 140. That's not the biggest story. Giannis dropped 64 points, franchise record for the Bucks. That's part of the big story from the game last night. But a little bit of a scuffle afterwards. Actually, there was a little bit of a scuffle before that too, with a hard foul on Giannis, and Bobby Portis did not like it. Did not like it. You could even hear the Bobby chants in the stadium there. But afterwards, let's just say there were some verbal exchanges and disagreements. Giannis, Bucks players with the Pacers, because Giannis and the Bucks wanted the game ball to commemorate the 64-point performance. Apparently, the Pacers took the game ball because one of their players had scored their first career point. So let's just say the Bucks didn't like that. The players didn't like that. There was some discussions, and I use the word discussions loosely. Doesn't seem like there was any punches thrown or anything like that, but apparently Rick Carlisle, head coach for the Pacers, talking about the incident after the game last night, said that a Bucks player, he didn't say who, but a Bucks player elbowed his general manager in the ribs and has some bruised ribs going on right now. So I don't know if anything's going to come from this. Pacers apparently said they gave the ball back. Giannis is unsure. He says it doesn't feel like the game ball. So you got some drama surrounding the game ball. And now you got an unsolved mystery. Where is the game ball? Oh boy. But yeah, you go like to the mothership, you go to ESPN.com or such. It is the main story. It's the videos all across the board. Even Portis, when he gets ejected, he's got like, the Portis eyes, like wide-eyed, like that's a man I don't want to mess with, is Bobby Portis right there. But it's definitely a dude that I want in my corner, a guy that I want to have in my back. But I don't know if anything's going to, punishments or anything after the game after this. I don't know if anything's worthy of that, but we'll find out soon probably, because Draymond Green got suspended indefinitely, however long that may be for the Golden State Warrior over there. So, but nonetheless, Bucks picked up the win against the Pacers. Next up on the schedule for the Bucks, it's going to be this weekend against Detroit. Yeah, they lost again last night. Are they going to snap that losing streak? Again, last win was back in October when they were 2-1. So at some point it's going to break, but you kind of wonder if it's going to be this weekend. Remember, too, it's back-to-back home series for the Bucks. So I don't know if the plan is still going to be out there for a guy like Middleton, or where he's only going to play one of those games in a back-to-back. And if that's the case, they probably won't play him against Detroit. But I mean, his minutes have been increasing. He had 29 minutes last night for Middleton. So, but yeah, we'll talk some hoops, including we got a couple of collegiate games, college games. Has a little state representing the state, if you will. Wisconsin takes on Jacksonville State. Badgers still remaining at number 23 in the latest AP poll rankings. But Marquette also in action tonight, going up against the Tommies, St. Thomas. So Badger basketball at 6. Marquette taking on St. Thomas at 7. But also tonight, too, Badger volleyball, Final Four, Texas. Winner goes on to the national championship. Go Badger volleyball. We'll hit up all things Badgers. And, I mean, still kind of, I don't know, it's still kind of weird to see Marquette taking on St. Thomas. Not in a scrimmage. A game. An actual game. It's still kind of weird. I know St. Thomas moving up in that, but it's still kind of weird to see that out there. But nonetheless, St. Thomas 6-4 so far this year. St. Thomas beat Milwaukee too, UW Milwaukee earlier in the month. Not that, December 6th over there. So, but they're actually riding a 3-game winning streak right now. So, but Marquette is favored by a wide margin, 24.5 right now as a spread. But we did have some upsets in the games last night. Northwestern was a heavy favorite against Chicago State. Chicago State beat them. UNLV was a favorite over number 8 Creighton, and they beat them. So had a couple of upsets. And Creighton, as we said, is number 8, and Northwestern was the 25th ranked team in the country. And well, they lost to Chicago State, and actually St. Thomas just beat Chicago State 66-50. So gotta love sports, right? Gotta love it. So we'll talk some college hoops and definitely some Badger volleyball. How many of you will be watching Badger? And I'm genuinely curious too. Like, we were talking about. Actually, it's in a new episode of the Rollin' with the Golds podcast that's dropping later this morning. We had Blue Gold volleyball coach Kim Woody on, and we were talking about like the growth of volleyball just in the last few years, and really too, especially when you look at it from the Badger standpoint and the success that they've had these last few years. They've been in the Final Four of the last 5 years. And, it's just gotten Nebraska with 90,000, watching a match in a football stadium. I'm curious to hear from some of you. Have you kind of maybe in the last few years gotten more into volleyball or paying attention to it more on the collegiate side because of the success from Badger volleyball, but also, even not far from us, Blue Gold volleyball over there? Is that something now you've been paying attention to a little bit more, or maybe following a little bit more because of the success they've had and because of the exposure maybe that volleyball is getting? And we know that, Badger volleyball, very good the last few years. Incredibly good. National championship on their resume too. So, but we'll see if they get back to it tonight with a win over Texas. They will potentially face, again, Nebraska. So, it is a Thursday, which means we got a little outdoor tidbit. So if you have any questions for our DNR warden, Mr. Jake Bolks, start to hit us up right now on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with some text, with some questions, 715-830-1912. I know some are already hitting the ice. Y'all are a lot more braver than I am, but be safe, especially today too, because it's going to get warm out there. I know we're talking like week and a half till Christmas and that, but it's going to be pretty warm out there, so be careful. Okay, be careful out there if you're going to hit the ice and do some ice fishing. But, we'll talk to Jake, and I'm sure he'll give, some tips and advice out there too. But, we got the antlerless season for deer gun wrapping up last week in muzzleloader, and, of course, rifle season too. We haven't talked to Jake since that. So we'll catch up with him. We'll have plenty to talk about with Jake. But if you have a specific question, let us know. Hit us up with that text. Okay, that's the easiest and quickest way to get them to us. If you text us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Also, a little receive or defer. We'll hit that up in about an hour and a half from now. 7:40, 7:45 on there. We'll probably throw a little football talk in there. Packers did not have a usual practice Normally, with a game on Sunday and such, they would have a normal practice, but they kind of had a little bit of a walkthrough, it sounds like, and practice, not fully in pads or anything like that, but it sounds like just, because of their game on Monday, but they'll be back at it later on today as they prepare for a big game against the Buccaneers. Big game for both because Buccaneers currently right now holding on to their division lead. Packers holding on to the final playoff spot right now, which again, reminder, it is Thursday, so get your picks in for our Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge. Got a big one, Chargers and then Raiders, right? I know you're all excited about that, but remember, we also got 3 games coming up on Saturday, including the Vikings taking on the Bengals over there too, and then Lions and Denver, the nightcap. But don't forget to get those picks in. I was awful in my picks last week. Oh, it was bad. It was really bad. Puke-ish. But you know the drill. You know where to go to make those picks if you've been a regular. Right up on the website, sportstalk1051.com. So, but we'll throw a little football chat and all that good stuff into the conversation as well. So, maybe even throw in a little baseball talk too, because we're starting to find out a little bit more about Ohtani's contract and just how unique this thing is. Obviously the big thing has been the deferred money and such, but a new nugget to come from this contract is that if a specific change in Dodger personnel, Ohtani can opt out of the contract at the end of the season. The change occurs, and it sounds like if the owner or the president of baseball operations is no longer involved with the team, the Ohtani can then opt out of that contract. So kind of a unique one over there as well. So it didn't include a traditional opt-out because it does come with a full no trade clause. Plus, he gets a suite for all regular season and postseason games, and will also donate up to 1% of his deal to the team's charitable foundation, which is a standard language for free agent deals over there, according to ESPN.com. So, but let's get things going here this morning. All right, let's talk a little hoops. Let's talk a little Bucks. Giannis, well, I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of things left to accomplish in his career so far, but he knocked off another one last night, becoming the franchise leader points in a game, dropping at 64 against the Indiana Pacers. Guy's got a championship. He's got a couple MVPs. He's got Defensive Player of the Year. Now he's a franchise leader in points scored, career, now points per game. I mean, what else is left for this guy to tackle besides multiple championships at this point? But let's talk a little Giannis. Let's talk a little Milwaukee Bucks to kind of lead things off. We'll talk some hoops in general. All right, let's do it up. So we'll take that first break. And then coming up here in just a few minutes, we'll get things rolling on this Thursday morning. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Want to give a big shout out to Fleet Farm last night for helping us out as we took some 10 kiddos Christmas shopping last night over at Fleet Farm as part of Backyard Dreams and Best Holiday Ever. Fleet Farm also with a donation and hosting us last night. And a big thanks again to all of you who have supported Backyard Dreams this year. So we were able to help out some kiddos and help them have a very Merry Christmas, to see their faces and filling up their carts full of gifts. And we had even quite a few kids who shopped for their families too. So not just for themselves, but they bought gifts for their brothers, sisters. One little girl even bought a putting green for her uncle to work on his putting game over there too. A little girl did that. So, but a big thanks to Fleet Farm for hosting us, and then of course everybody for supporting Backyard Dreams over there too. It was awesome to see their smiles, and a special shout out to QOW18 for covering the event the last couple of days for us too.
So. That was my niece. She knows how bad my putting game is.
One girl was in there for 10 minutes. She knew exactly what she's getting. She picked up some rollerblades, doesn't know how to rollerblade, but she's going to work on it in the garage now, she said.
Good for her. Yeah, it's great when you put a smile on a kid's face at Christmas.
Yes, definitely. Especially helping out some kiddos too who might just need a little bit of help too.
It really does. But I mean, there's so much anti-news all the time, negative news, and then you get these kids, like you just said, that were buying presents not for themselves but for other members of their family. I mean, that restores your faith in America, and it's not a bad place to live.
Yep, exactly. It was there was one little girl. I went through everything that she put in that cart, and this is for my dad, this is for my brother, this is for my aunt, this is for my uncle, and it was the little putting green over there too. So It was awesome. So big thanks again to everybody for stopping by. So it was fun last night. It was a lot of fun. So
yeah, this is a great time of the season. I hope everybody does enjoy it, unlike the bah humbug woman from Tennessee that you heard about. I mean, what's the matter with her?
Yeah.
If I was a judge, I'd talk to Steve Gibbs up there, Judge Steve, and get her in court today, find her guilty, and sentence her to community service to go fix it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the cold weather. She's from Tennessee. She's probably not used to it, although the weather's not bad now. But send her out there and make sure it's all fixed before she can leave town.
And then help take it down.
Take it down in the spring, absolutely. And pay for the damage. I mean, that's just senseless.
It is. So, all right, let's get things going here this morning. Hoops talk, in case you're just waking up and maybe didn't hear the opener a little bit. But Bucks last night picked up the win. That's not the main story. Giannis set a franchise record for points in a game. That's still not the main story, 64 points. A little bit of a ruckus between the two teams afterwards. Maybe a little bit of a rivalry brewing, who knows. But a little bit of a, let's just call it, disagreement between the two teams afterwards. Words exchanged in the hallways, on the court. Giannis was animated about it. Boiled down to who has the game ball. So now we got a big old mystery surrounding ourselves here. But according to various reports out there, and Rick Carlisle talked about it afterwards, head coach of the Pacers. Pacers initially took the game ball because one of their players scored his first career point. Bucks wanted it because Giannis set the franchise record for 64 points. There was a disagreement and arguments between the two clubs. Pacers said they gave it back. Giannis isn't quite sure because he says it doesn't feel like the game ball. So it's all over the place. Don't know if any punches were thrown. Rick Carlisle said a Bucks player did elbow the Pacers GM in the ribs. Didn't say who that was. But tensions were high a couple minutes before that because there was a hard foul on Giannis, to which Bobby Portis didn't like, and he got ejected from the game. And if anybody knows Bobby Portis or seen him play, he had the Portis eyes going, the wide-eyed, and then it's kind of like Rocky or Reggie chants in the Pfizer Forum because you could hear the crowd chanting Bobby, egging him on a little bit there. Giannis's brother had to be held back by Jay Crowder off the bench. So, yeah, it wasn't. Tempers were flared a little bit last night.
Well, I think you said it right in the front of that. That there's a rivalry brewing between the Bucks and Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm okay with that.
Oh, I am too. I don't know what the difference, really and truly. is it the exact game ball or not? I mean, what is a bigger deal? This is the kid from Indiana's first basket. I think Giannis is going to have a game in his future. He's going to score more
I
than
was going to say,
64.
Giannis,
So,
go get
yeah,
70 the next
yeah, I was
night.
going to say, don't get exercised or, have a
Too
big,
riled up,
yeah,
yeah.
over all that sort of stuff. Let the kid have the ball. It's his first basket in the NBA. Giannis, get another ball, have it autographed and signed and dated, and put it in your trophy case. Nobody's who cares? It's going to sit on a shelf, whether
Yeah.
it feels the same or not. I mean, that's much ado about nothing, as far as I'm concerned.
It
I understand the significance of it. It's his biggest game ever, but is it going to be the biggest game ever in his career? We don't know that, but it's just a ball, boys.
Yeah, that like when I was I'm like, I kind of feel like this is getting a little bit overblown. With I understand the significance and everything with it, but if you haven't seen the videos of it, I mean, it's not just like talking back and forth. Like Giannis was upset and actually like ran in the tunnel, then came back on the court. I mean, he's just like he is upset. You had Jay Crowder in the tunnel. John was with them, it looked like over there too. I mean, it wasn't just like, a little verbal back and forth. There was some hurt feelings,
Yeah,
going on here.
and I don't know if people will agree with me or disagree with me or not, but I have to say, in this instance, I'm more on the side of the young kid from Indiana that scored his first basket. Let him have the ball. Giannis, be the bigger man on this thing.
Mhm.
You know what it was like when you first broke into the league, and to a certain extent, I think Giannis and the Bucks are maybe in the wrong. I mean, it's not like 90-10; it's like 51-49 type of thing. But let the kid from Indiana. It's his first bucket. It's a big deal. It is to that kid. I'm siding more with this kid from Indiana. I don't like all the elbowing and the other stuff that went on, but Giannis could have said, "Hey, great night for me. That was a big deal for him. Let him have it. I'll get another ball." I just think there's much ado about nothing, and I think Giannis. I'm a little disappointed that he didn't, and I wasn't there. I don't know if he was, fouled hard and all that sort of stuff, but he could have diffused this in a minute by saying, "Hey, it's a bigger deal for him than it was for me. Although it's a big deal for me, let him have the ball. I'll get another one. I'll signify the day in some way with a different ball." But I just think it's
Mhm.
way overblown, like you said.
This was Pacers coach Rick Carlisle after the game.
Happy.
Yeah, so that's a little bit from Rick Carlisle.
And I agree with them 100%. In the first place, for one of the things argument, they were at home. Their home preference. It's their home. Bucks were visitors.
No, Bucks were home.
Oh, the Bucks were home.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's different then. Oh, I
Yeah.
thought they were playing in Indianapolis.
Nope.
Well, then, yeah, that's different. But I still think Giannis could have been a bigger man and given the ball to the kid. And like you said, there's two game balls.
Mm-hmm. Loading up just a quick comment from Giannis after the game. last night, and kind of seems a little bit more calm after the whole melee or whatever. So, all right, so there was just a little bit from Giannis.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll ever touch that ball again. Once he
No.
gets his what written on there, Indiana game date, points scored, puts it on a little platform or and puts it on a shelf, he'll probably never touch it again.
Hmm.
So, but now today, I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe let sleeping dogs lie. That's fine. Or he could come out and say, "Hey, much ado. We made too much out of this. I want the young man to have the game ball. There are two game balls. I get one, he gets one, and it's over."
Hmm. Yeah, it's just that's. I don't think I've ever really kind of heard or seen any sort of disagreement this much to this level over
No.
a game ball or anything. I mean, the only thing that reminded me of was when Tom Brady's Super Bowl jersey was misplaced and somebody ended up stealing it
Yeah,
out of the
that was
locker room.
quite a deal when they had all the video. They showed the guy that did it, how
Yeah,
he got in the locker room. He was a scam artist and
yeah,
got in there and walked out, this and anything. So they knew who did it and where it was. They got it back, but still, yeah, this this is not quite to the level of Draymond Green the night before.
no, and yeah, suspended indefinitely for Draymond. I said yesterday, see you next year, Draymond. Yeah, because
Well, I think most people feel that way. They don't
yeah,
miss him.
no, not at all. So, but Bucks, picked up the win. That's the most important thing from last night. Giannis, he doesn't have a lot left to accomplish already in his career, but he knocked off another one, becoming the franchise single game leader. Broke Michael Redd's record of 57 last night there. So, but you know what? I don't think any of us would be surprised if Giannis breaks his own record at some point.
Well, that's what I said a
More than
minute ago.
64.
This probably isn't the highest scoring total he'll ever have. So.
Right. He's got a long career yet. Got a long career yet at this point in time. So, but Bucks next game will be Saturday as beginning of a back-to-back. Hopefully they don't lose that one because it's the Pistons who their last win was in October when they were 2-1.
Oh man,
That was their last win.
What, they lost 20? How many in a row?
I've lost track.
21, 22.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, kid, in baseball, Philadelphia Phillies had lost 30, 31, 32 games in a row, and they came into Milwaukee. This was when the Braves were there and playing a doubleheader. And the Braves won the first game, and then Philadelphia won the second game. And I think they broke a 33-game losing streak, which was the record, probably still is. So, it's hard to fathom that teams can be this far apart, that Detroit can be this bad.
Yeah, 21 in a row.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. They can be this bad when,
especially when you have the highest paid coach, right?
Highest paid coach, and what they've had high draft choices the last few years, and it's been one of those situations though when the top draft choice isn't a guy that's going to be a difference maker in the league. That Cunningham they got from Oklahoma State or whatever, a good player, but he's not going to be on anybody's NBA first five.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of stung by a lot of things. Their drafting hasn't been all that good.
Yeah, well, I think I saw somebody last night saying Pistons still trying to tank for Wembanyama. Like that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it
right
was.
there.
Yeah, it was.
So, but yeah, we'll see. And I don't know if Middleton's still on that back-to-back, although his minutes have increased. He had 29, 30 minutes in the game last night there too. So,
Good.
hoops-wise, sticking with hoops though, but we've got a couple games tonight. Badgers taking on Jacksonville State. Marquette. Still weird for me to say this. Marquette takes on St. Thomas. Still kind of weird for me to say St. Thomas Division I and seeing that. It's not a scrimmage or anything. This is a game. And St. Thomas beat UW Milwaukee just a couple weeks ago as well. So they got a winning record in D1, 6-4 here. So, but those are your two college games on tap for tonight.
And that's going to be interesting going forward with those folks at St. Thomas now being Division I. And this new coach that took over for Patino here a couple of years ago, I think he's focusing more on the Twin Cities recruits because they produce a lot of good basketball players in Twin Cities and Minnesota in general, because Wisconsin
takes them
loaded with them for many, many years. What kind of pressure this is going to put on Minnesota recruiting and Wisconsin recruiting of Minnesota players, because St. Thomas is going to be in there, and they've got some money in the coffers too, I would think, for NIL and all this other stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of players St. Thomas is going to get, and are they going to get the same players that Wisconsin, Minnesota, and other schools are going to go after? It's going to be interesting to follow them, because even, schools like South Dakota are, they're moving up in their basketball competitiveness, let's say. They're recruiting better players. In Northern Iowa, there are a lot of these teams now that were always maybe Division I, but kind of second tier. But now they're competing very well with the big boys, so to speak, and that's going to include for recruits. So it's going to be fun to watch St. Thomas going forward in Division I.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. I know they're, Marquette, no surprise, is a heavy favorite in the game tonight. But, just look at last night's. You had Chicago State upsetting Northwestern. Northwestern was a 24-point favorite. Chicago State beat them.
I was watching that, and then I left. And when I left, Northwestern had come back and taken the lead. But then evidently, obviously, Chicago State came back.
And St. Thomas beat Chicago State this year, too. So
wow, because Chicago State didn't look all that bad.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. We got plenty of stuff on tap for tonight, too, because Badger Volleyball, Final Four. Tonight,
8:30.
Yep, going up against Texas.
Texas is rated number 1, aren't they?
No, Texas is a 2 seed.
Oh, they're the 2 seed. Who's number 1?
Would be Nebraska.
Nebraska still. I thought maybe they'd fall a little bit when Wisconsin beat them 3-0.
Yeah. Well, Nebraska beat Wisconsin earlier in the season too. So,
but that was at Nebraska, and that was in a 5-set match. And most people said Wisconsin should have won that match too. But when they came to Madison, the most recent, is 3-0 Wisconsin pretty handily.
Yeah, I think it probably didn't help. Wisconsin went on a little bit of a losing. Yeah, Nebraska was 1. Stanford was 2. Wisconsin was 3.
Okay.
And Pittsburgh was 4. And
should be fun.
Yeah, it's Nebraska versus Pittsburgh, and then Wisconsin versus Texas. You look at that program for Badger volleyball. For the last 5 years in the Final Four. What Kelly Sheffield has done with that program, and just the growth overall from Badger volleyball. I know you were recently at a couple weeks or a few weeks ago watching a match against Iowa. Is it fair to say that growth? Like I'll admit it, I've paid more attention to it in the last few years.
Oh, so have I.
And I think it's, the growth, but also, the more exposure and success, right? I mean, success is going to give you more exposure to that program.
Yeah. And why? And it's, and I was there about 4 years ago, and then I was there, as you said, a couple of weeks ago against the Iowa team, and watching the coach Kelly, he's an interesting guy to watch because, they stand there, but they don't really coach. They just, flash some numbers and whatever those signals are. But when they call a timeout, every time he called a timeout, and if you watch him on TV when they call a timeout, he doesn't coach. He stands there and lets his assistants coach, because I'm sure they've all got assignments, and I don't understand the intricacies of it all as far as the blockers and the setup and the libero and all this other stuff. But he just kind of stands back and lets his assistant coaches coach. And I see more of the head coaches do the same thing. But this Kelly, what's his last name?
Sheffield.
He does a wonderful job letting his assistants be part of this program, and it's working down there. He's got some wonderful kids.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can't deny the success down there too. I know, the money makers are football and basketball and such, but you look at Mark Johnson. I mean, that program for women's hockey, you might as well just always mark them in contention every year.
Mm-hmm.
Same with volleyball now, the last few years.
And the thing about volleyball, and I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but maybe I did a few weeks ago, used to be you go to a Badger football game, and they'd say, don't forget, Wisconsin women's volleyball tonight in the field house starts at 7 o'clock, the first serve. Bring your Badger football ticket stub and you can get in for nothing. That announcement's not made anymore.
No.
That place is pretty well sold out. And in fact, for the, what was it? For the Nebraska game at the field house, went online. I thought, well, I might go. I went online. Cheapest ticket I could find was $106. That's a long way from showing your football ticket stub to $106.
I saw a lot of people on Facebook,
wonderful.
trying to find tickets.
Yeah, and it's
go.
wonderful to see that success, because I tell you, I think the women's volleyball team is probably paying their own way. I don't know how much extra they might have, but I think it's a good thing. It's great to see, and boy, I'll tell you, that field house has come back to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think I don't know if this would be a possibility or that, and I'm just, because I saw the other day they're working on Camp Randall's turf and field and replacing that and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think is it possible to expand that field house, make it a little bit more updated or anything like that?
I don't think they want to.
Yeah.
I think they've got it. They put a facelift on it, so to speak. They didn't do any major reconstruction, but I was up when I was watching. I went back up, and I don't know if you ever got down there for when the boys basketball tournament was still in the field house.
Yeah, I went down there when Medford girls went to state. It was in the field house.
Okay.
Went down there. So is it still the wooden bleachers and everything?
Oh, yeah. And you get up in the upper deck,
and
it's just a flat platform. It's not even, it's wide benches, seats up there. And I still had the feeling, because that's where we sat up in the corner, so we could look right down at really great seats up high. But you look down, and anybody that was there as a kid at the field house for the basketball tournaments, and you had to sit way up high.
Yeah.
It almost feels that you don't want to go too far forward. You're going to fall out on the floor. I feel like you're going to fall out. And what a great atmosphere it really is. I mean, it's just a wonderful
you're over
place
top everything.
Yeah. And really, they've modernized it, spruced it up a little bit. I think they put some new seats in there. There are a few splinters in some of the old ones, but it's a great facility. And people, I watched where some of these people were sitting. They're sitting in the corners off the edge of the floor. And on the first level, I don't want to be there. I want to be up high. And so you get back up where we were as kids when we used to go to the old high school basketball tournament before even the girls had teams, when it was just the boys. And you'd go up there and you'd sit way up high. And man, oh man, you thought, oh, I got to be careful so I don't fall out and land on the floor and land in the bleachers below me.
Yep.
Great facility. It really is. And they've redone a nice job. It's bright red with the white trim. They got all the banners hanging in there. They got a lot of sponsors. And of course, down in the one end now is the inside area for that new seating area they had in the end zone of the football stadium. So they've got that where, people can come in and have seats there for the football, come in and warm up and get a drink and all that sort of stuff. So that's up on the other end as well. It'd be on the north end of the field house. So that's built in as well. So they've done a nice job, and I don't think they'll ever try and leave the field house. They've got a facility there that is wonderful.
Right. Yeah. It's because the last time I was there was, state girls basketball tournament before it went to Green Bay. They had it in the field house. So yeah. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. Still, I had those same feelings there because we were up high too in the corner, in your student section over there. Oh man.
So good luck to the Badger volleyball team tonight. Good
absolutely.
luck.
Absolutely. Really quick too, before we have to take our break, since we're talking a little hoops, congratulations goes out to Blue Gold women's basketball coach Tanya England, 400th career win as they defeated Superior. Both teams defeated Superior, but 400th career win for Tanya England. She is one of 4 coaches in WIAC history to reach that milestone.
Now that's when because she was a coach over in Minnesota, I believe, before so that's 400 at Eau Claire. Oh, good for her.
Only now one of only 35 active D3 coaches with at least 400 wins.
Good for her.
Yes. All right, so let's take a quick break and we'll finish up this first hour after these few words. Don't forget to get your questions in for Mr. Jake Boakes. He'll be joining us later on this morning, 8:30, for a little outdoor tidbits. Especially you ice fishermen who are brave enough to try to go out there on the ice right now.
Well, I was at bowling last night, and there was a lot of complaining.
Yeah.
These guys bowl and ice fish.
Oh, man. So, especially with today with the warmer temperatures, if you are going to go out there, please be safe. Please be safe.
Please don't go out.
Did you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've talked about it, the talking heads. I haven't been listening, but this Shohei Ohtani contract.
Yeah.
All right. Now, and a friend of mine asked me this question, and he's in the financial industry. Now, he's diverted so much of this money. Has anybody talked about it, or is it in the contract that it's just the diverted money in the contract, or are the Dodgers going to have to pay accrued interest on this? Can you imagine how much money that will? That'll be over $1 billion. Have they talked about that, or what kind of deal it is?
We kind of broke it down a little bit yesterday, and I did, because that has been a big question out there about the interest part of it. Now, initially they said there was no interest. Without interest,
that's a steal for the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was something else too. Oh, because the other question too was about state taxes. You know, is it where he plays or is it where he resides?
I think it's both. Doesn't he have to pay Wisconsin taxes when he comes here to play?
There is that. Some states have that. You know, like I think Tennessee is one of them too. That you know they have that. Is it called the athlete tax or something like that? I'm gonna try to find it because I saw something else about it with that state tax. I'll see. I'll find it during the break here too because I saved it because there was another nugget that dropped yesterday about where the state taxes are going to come from with the deferred portion of it. Because yeah, $2 million for the first 10 years, then $68 million after that is. And then we're finding out more about he does have some opt-outs.
More than $680 million if it's a $700 million contract.
68 per year for 10 years.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 68 per year for that. So yeah, it's I
mean, it's hard to fathom, but then somebody said, well, what about interest? I said, well, I don't know if that's part of this contract, if the Dodgers would have to pay accumulated interest on this money. If they don't, boy, that's, you know, hard to say that it's costing Ohtani money.
Yeah, it says.
But seriously, that's a lot of cash.
It says here from the Athletic, the deferred money is to be paid out without interest from 2034 to 2043. So,
well, the Dodgers. I mean, that's an unbelievable contract, and it's hard to say when you're paying that kind of money in a deferred contract. I mean, he makes look like Bobby Bonilla's selling pencils on the street.
I know, right?
He's getting, but to not have to pay interest on this. That's a deal.
Yep. So this was from Darren Ravel. I asked the California Franchise Tax Board about how they look at Shohei Ohtani's deferred money deal. If he moves to another state, when he collects that money, could cost the state nearly $100 million in tax collection. This was their response. Please note that under the California Revenue and Taxation Code, the Franchise Tax Board is unable to provide information about a specific taxpayer. Generally, non-residents are taxable on California source income. Like other states, California has the power to tax individuals on California source income earned when they are non-residents. The timing of the payments and timing of generating taxable California source income is a fact-specific finding that would depend upon the unique facts and circumstances of a taxpayer, as well as the terms of any compensation agreement. So that's a lot of words that I don't know if I quite understand at this point. But
whatever it is, it's a deal. I mean, it's hard to say when you pay somebody $700 million to play a game that you're getting a deal. But the Dodgers are getting a deal with no interest accumulation on all that money.
And here's another nugget here too. This was the one I actually saw from yesterday. Tax law stipulates that if you take your deferred compensation payments over a period of 10 years or more, those payments will be taxed in the state where you reside rather than in the state in which you earned the compensation, potentially reducing your tax liability. So say he goes to Florida after this, doesn't have to pay.
And I wondered, is this the same thing? I'm just in the back of my mind, we don't have as much as we used to. Traveling salesman. You live in Eau Claire, but now you go to Ohio or you go to every other state, and do business, and you sell things, and you're making your income off of that sale to a company, say in Ohio. Are you paying Ohio taxes on that, or how does this work? It would be the same thing. So in my mind, it would be the same thing, because we have a lot of people that live in one state and do business in many, many other states.
Yeah.
How is this the same thing basically, or different? It can of worms to me.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not in that financial world.
I wish I were to handle that kind
true.
of money.
I'm sure Otani's got people that figure that out for him. So
he's got people. Talk to my people.
1 hour in. We got a couple more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. All right, here we go. Second hour kicking off on this Thursday morning. Sounds like going to be a little bit of a heat wave coming up on this Thursday. So,
I never thought that in December I'd use my convertible more than snowblower.
have you used it a couple times?
Yeah.
Windows roll up, right, just to be safe.
Don't even.
I know
say
that's
that. Oh man, and people driving convertibles with the windows rolled up.
I know that always gets you.
God.
Yeah.
One of those things that drives me nuts.
No white Christmas, I don't think, this year.
I don't know. Remember last year at this time we didn't have any snow.
I was trying to
December
remember that.
15th or 16th we had 8 inches.
Did we?
So
Okay.
it can happen in a hurry.
I hope so. I want a little snow for at least Christmas.
Oh, absolutely. Always want it to be white.
Yep.
That.
Let's do some sports nuggets of the day to kick off this second hour. 1901, the first table tennis tournament was held at the London Royal Aquarium. Jack Johnson became the first black world heavyweight champion. 1952, the Dodgers signed a pitcher, Sandy Koufax. Howard Cosell in 1984 retired from the NFL's Monday Night Football. 1986, Dan Marino at the time set an NFL record with his 7th 400-yard game. CBS in 1988 won the exclusive rights to Major League Baseball's 1990 to 94 seasons for $1.1 billion. Barry Sanders in 97 ran for more than 100 yards for his 13th consecutive game. Jerry Rice, 1998, caught a pass in a game against the Lions. It was his 191st consecutive game with a catch. Those are just some of your quick sports nuggets for this morning to answer this texter's question here. I did not get a chance. I recorded it, but ESPN's 30 for 30, the Minister of Defense, Reggie White, aired last night.
All part of it.
Don't ruin it for me yet. I DVR'd it, so I'm going to watch it. But last night, too, also, same time, SEC Network, I recorded it. They had a Bart Starr documentary. So
Saw part of that too, but I didn't see all.
yeah, so I'm excited to watch both of those. Talk about, can you space them out a little bit though, guys? I mean, for those who can't DVR it or such, but
just to keep things happy at home. Don't be sitting there watching these things for hours on end.
Oh man, that's why I've got the man cave. I'll go down there and watch them.
Well,
why?
Well,
you talking about the wife?
You better be careful. She might put a lock on the door, and you're not going to get out of the man cave if you abuse that privilege.
I think she's fine. The further away I can get, sometimes,
Maybe that's okay then.
So did you get to see White play in person? Did you ever go to a Packer game with Reggie?
Yep.
That's one of my things I wish I could have experienced. The Reggie chance at Lambeau.
That arm bar that he had. I mean, he literally. I mean, you look at these tackles. I mean, these guys are 6 foot. So even back when he played, they were 6'7", 320, and that arm bar. He could literally pick them up off the ground with that forearm.
Larry Allen.
Yeah.
The big man over there.
He was one of a kind.
It was. I saw a little bit of a clip of J.J. Watt talking about him. J.J. Wisconsin. That's the guy he wanted to emulate, and he was talking about that move, and he's like, you can't emulate. It's like the law of physics. Speed and hitting the guy at the center of gravity, and just being able to move him across. And I'm like,
the power in that body was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Man, wish I could have experienced being at Lambeau and just like the Reggie chance. I think that would have been one of the coolest things out there.
Yeah, I only saw him play once or twice, but haven't seen anything like it since.
I still remember the day I found out he passed away. I was in my car. Yeah, it was a day after Christmas, listening to sports radio in my car, and they said it on the radio.
There have been a few things like that for me. The day Elvis died, when they announced that, because he was only in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Reggie White died, I mean, you just sit back and say, what?
Yeah.
And it didn't seem possible, but it happened.
Yeah. So, I can't wait to watch it, though.
John Lennon from the Beatles, when he got shot in front of it just...
JFK, maybe, for your era?
Yeah, well, JFK, yeah. I mean, I was in school. I was in, I think, a sophomore or something in high school when that happened. But, yeah, some of these things are just beyond belief because, they were all in their 40s.
Yeah.
I don't know how old John Lennon was, but, young men taken too soon.
Absolutely.
Good men.
Yep. So, but I will thank you to that texture because I will be watching it hopefully tonight or
Yeah,
tomorrow or something
the
like
little
that.
bit I
So,
saw, but I saw more than a little bit. It was
mhm.
it was very well done.
Yeah. So, definitely he was probably my first favorite player, I would say, as a kid growing up. So, who's your first favorite player as a kid
In football,
in sports? Was it Hank Aaron or somebody?
it would have been Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as I got older, Kareem, of course, because we're
Yeah.
the same age, and then and Bart Starr, Kareem. Those were the the ones.
Mm-hmm.
My early years, formative years, as they say.
Formative years. And well, I know you and I both got to meet Starr for a little bit too.
Yep,
So
yep.
I always say, whatever you see on TV, that's at least one of the guys, him and his wife. Whatever you hear or see, it's actually true in person.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yep.
Yeah,
He wasn't manufactured. He was real.
absolutely. So, oh man, so transfer portals going on. I know that's got to be kind of it's got crazy right now.
Yeah, I see the
Badgers got a new
Badgers have
quarterback.
from Miami. I don't know how they got a kid from Miami to come here, but good luck. He put up some big numbers, but the only problem is who's going to have to throw to?
Yeah,
Because we lost what 2 or 3 receivers. Chimray Dike. I don't know what his thought is of why he left Wisconsin.
mm-hmm.
Because I don't know where he's going to go or what he's going to do. But he was going to be the number one at Wisconsin, and I don't know where he's going to go that he's going to be number one because he's obviously not going to go to a Division II school.
And one of their starting offensive linemen yesterday, Tanner Bortolini, declared for the NFL draft. So
Good kid for doing that.
Nope, he'll forego his final. It's unclear right now whether he will play in the bowl game, but I got to imagine if you're declaring for the draft, you're probably not going to play in the bowl game.
Well, for a guy like him, I would think
Mm-hmm.
if I'm his agent, I'm going to say you play in the bowl game.
Yeah,
you play well
because
he's got to because he's obviously not going to be a top draft choice, but
Yep.
he could help himself in this draft if he played in that game. Because let's face it, this offensive line has not been one of the best Wisconsin's ever had, and if he's associated with that, he better step up. And I'd recommend he plays in the bowl game
because he is. It was announced too that he is playing in the Senior Bowl, so he accepted an invitation to play in the Senior Bowl, which has some kind of maybe teasing like, okay, he's not going to play in the bowl game, and then but because he's playing in that Senior Bowl, maybe that's kind of the answer right there that he won't be playing. But
completely different situations though.
Yeah, you got a lot of these dudes. Like I feel like it takes away a lot from these bowl games.
Oh, I think it takes tremendous amount away. But only Michigan had nobody. I don't know if Alabama had anybody transferring out.
I mean, you got your Ohio State quarterback. That's
I think Ryan Day. I think he had a meeting with Ryan Day, and Ryan Day said, what happened to Mertz. I think they're you can come back, but you're not my starter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't want to do that, so the kid's going to leave. I think Ryan Day encouraged him to leave.
It's just you look at I don't know I bowl games and that right now I think have really lost their with these kids leaving because I know we've talked to a couple people that was the thing, and I'll talk to Joe from Cabin Coffee who used to play for that. I want to get his thoughts on all these guys, leaving. Like,
yeah, he's a lineman. He'll have a good idea of whether or not that bowl game can help Tortellini or whatever his name is, enhance his draft position by playing. The Senior Bowl is one thing, but it's different than playing with your own team in a bowl game, And of course, you don't have Braylon Allen running behind you, so. Who are you going to have? Akers and the other kid that are there. There's decisions to be made, and you have to respect their decisions. But
you're gonna have a lot
kid gets drafted and has a nice pro career.
You're gonna have a lot of guys in these bowl games who either maybe didn't play in the regular season or didn't log a lot of minutes. All of a sudden, like, all right, you're starting now.
That's right, because the 3 guys ahead of you on the depth chart of all transfers.
Yeah, exactly. So. I get it, business decisions and all that sort of stuff. It still takes away.
I just think the transfer portal has just completely gotten away from the NCAA, completely gotten away from them. It just, because you look and what's happened, it's just been like a waterfall in the last few years of these guys. What's the latest number? I heard 1,500, but I'm sure it's gone up from there.
It's probably gone up by over 100 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
And I just think I don't blame the kids for wanting to go someplace where they can play. I don't blame them a bit, because if you're an athlete, you're on a team, you don't want to carry a clipboard. You want to play. I don't blame the kids a bit, but I just think it's gotten out of hand. I don't think they should do it. It'd be interesting to get Joe's opinion later on, but I just think it's out of hand. It's hard on the coaches. It's hard on the schools. Your alumni funding, you put more pressure on the coaches. You better get a good quarterback in here next year. You better do this. You better do that. Puts a lot of pressure. It changes recruiting 360 degrees or 180 degrees, I think, because, focus on high school or junior college transfers. But now you got to go to all these other college transfers.
Mm-hmm.
It really has changed it. And I really don't know how you can stay on top of it. It's more money for recruiting coordinators, and you don't hire just one person. You got to have other people that can monitor this stuff online, watch videos, see who these kids are. I mean, it's really something else.
Well, our good friend Mark, Mr. Faunus,
his sons go to Ohio.
They got a bowl game coming up this weekend on the 16th, and this was the other day. He told us too. He's like, he texted, "I don't think you'll find a lot of coaches who liked the portal, but accept it as a fact of life. I'm sure there are reasons for the timing, but it would seem to make sense to wait until after the bowl and playoff games. For instance, my son's coaching staff at Ohio should be 100% focused on their bowl game Saturday, but they have players who got in the portal they need to replace, so they've been spending extra time recruiting this week."
Yeah, that's what we said. We said a couple of weeks ago that it shouldn't be allowed until after the bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
It just shouldn't be allowed, because this is just absolutely, they say, well, you practice for the bowl games. It gives you extra practices. Well, you need them, because you don't know who's going to, like you said, you don't know who's going to be your starting wide receivers or your starting left tackle or whatever the case may be, because these guys say, well, I'm leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard. I don't envy a coach a bit.
No, I don't either. I don't either. So.
I mean, I remember when they talked about open enrollment in high schools in Wisconsin, and a few kids would transfer basketball or whatever, go to a different school. And, because I know some down south, especially down at Sun Prairie, the kid was playing at Sun Prairie, transferred to a school around Milwaukee. He's now in the NBA. But, all of a sudden, you go from a team that's one of the favorites to now you're an also ran, because you're top. He and his brother both transferred out. Now you got a team that not very good.
Well, it's like Mark was just listening. He chimed in too. The NIL. It's about where a lot of those guys can get more NIL money too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's essentially free agency.
In an essence, and like I said, I don't blame the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame the kids, but I think the adults in the room let this thing. It's one of those things where the horse got out of the barn before they shut the door, and I don't know how they're going to put it back.
Yeah,
putting toothpaste back in the tube. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Like Matt Rule, I know Nebraska has been very vocal about the issues surrounding NIL and transfer portals and all that stuff too.
All these schools aren't created equal. You look at the revenue at some of these southern schools. That's all the college football. You got teams in Atlanta and New Orleans and this, that, and everything. But college football is way more popular than pro football down there. And I mean, they've got money people that can really kick in.
Dude, look at some of those locker rooms for some of them.
Oh, my goodness. Well, some of the dorms and the practice facilities.
And it feels like they get updated every 3 years.
On and on and on. And well, I'm telling you what, there's a lot of money at some of these schools. Others, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you think as much support as Wisconsin athletics gets from boosters and supporters, it's a drop in the bucket compared to some of those schools in the South and out West. And you got some of these benefactors, like Oklahoma State had T. Boone Pickens for years, through Oil Man, through millions and millions of dollars, and Phil Knight with Nike out in Oregon. You look at, they've got different uniforms to go to the bathroom in. They got so much money and so much support. And some of these schools are just over the top with that kind of money. And Texas schools. We all heard the story about Texas A&M, and when Saban attacked them for Jimbo Fisher for buying all these players that were Texas A&M or Alabama. Well, they went to Texas A&M because they can make more money. You know, how long ago was it? You never heard that for
Yeah.
college players. Why are you going to Texas A&M, Alabama? I can make more money. You never heard that before.
Nope. No. Mark is him and his wife heading to the airport to fly to Myrtle Beach for the game. Go Bobcats. Best of luck.
You might take
Safe
your
travels.
golf clubs along, Mark. A lot of places to play golf.
Yes. So, yeah, Ohio. I know Mark and I had this discussion too. There's a Wisconsin. Ohio's got a good feeder system from Wisconsin kids. I know. I went to high school. He was 2 years ahead of me, but he played football at Ohio. Tyler Russ. His brother, who played in the NFL, is now the linebackers coach for Washington. Was defensive coordinator at Ohio too. So they've got a good little feeder system going over there to the Bobcats. So go Ohio.
Yeah,
not State. Go Ohio.
You bet. Go get them. Well, you look at a lot of kids. I mean, over the years, some of these schools, North Dakota State has let a lot of kids played for Wisconsin high school football. So
their head coach is leaving now to go to USC, be an assistant coach, North Dakota State. So I think associate head coach and linebackers coach is what I read. So
they need help on defense.
Yeah.
They need help on defense.
Yeah, what a plummet from USC this year. Holy moly.
Well, they had, they couldn't stop anybody. It was unbelievable. You got a head coach that focuses only on one side of the ball, and you drop the ball on the other side. You better hire somebody that's got as much authority on defense for recruiting and maintaining the roster as you do on the offense. That was really a coaching deficiency.
Sam says, I blame the kids a little bit if they don't start as a freshman and work towards preserving and becoming a starter. They just say, instead of outworking everyone, I will just transfer.
No, I agree with that. There's no question about that. There are some kids that, they don't come in to try and get better. There are very few kids that, as freshmen, make a difference in college. You got to learn.
You got to get bigger too in a lot of instances.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you got to get bigger. You got to get stronger. You got to get faster because the game changes from high school to college and college to the pros. But no, I agree with that. That if it's freshmen that are transferring out, that's one thing. But if you've been a backup quarterback or running back for 3 years or whatever, I'm gonna go someplace where I can play. I don't blame them for that. It might not be the same level of school, but where you want to play.
Wasn't the Quinn Ewers one when he was going through that thing? Because he first went to Ohio State, but then it was like the whole NIL transfer. Then went, Texas because he could get some money a little bit quicker too and get into the school quicker. I mean, it's anybody who doesn't think college sports is a business. It's a business down to when you're like in middle school and you're already talking to coaches and such.
You talk about Texas, and I see their second string quarterback is transferred. He's going into the portal. I mean, Arch Manning is now the backup. And I give Arch Manning credit because he's just a freshman. Next year he'll be a sophomore, obviously. But he's there. Now, whether he'll stay there 4 years, I don't know with yours what the deal is, but I give him credit because everybody says, oh, Arch Manning, he's coming in as a freshman going to play. Well, no, he didn't play. So now he's second string at Texas, but he's still there.
Yep, exactly. So, and you kind of wonder too look at his family history and all that too. But I'm excited to see what Arch Manning can do. So
yeah, I'm excited to see him on the field.
And I
don't know how long
it's of pressure on him, but
is there ever?
Holy moly!
But I think this is deferring some of the pressure. The fact that he didn't come in as a freshman under a lot of pressure. They'll say, well, maybe he's got to grow. He's maybe not as good as his uncles, and maybe he's got to grow a little bit. And he comes out and
don't rush it.
Yep, exactly.
So, all right, we got to take a quick break here before we get to a little receiver defer coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll be back after these quick words. before we get to a little receive or defer coming up in about 15 minutes or so. I know in the first hour we chat a little bit about Otani's contract out there too, but another new nugget that came through or was leaked about Otani's contract was he can opt out now if the owner or the president of baseball operations is no longer involved with the team, according to sources. This is from ESPN. He can, if a specific change in Dodger personnel, a player may opt out of the contract at the end of the season. The change occurs. Two sources familiar with the contract confirmed the initial report, and okay, so yeah, so he initially there was like no opt-outs, and which is typical with a no trade clause, but now he can opt out if there's a change in personnel at the end of that season. Now I don't know if the Dodgers owners got any plans to sell or move on at any point in time here, but I guess another little new wrinkle to that very unique contract.
Yeah, I've never heard
there.
anything like that before. And how often does a general manager or director or president of baseball operations stay with the team? Are they there for 8-10 years? There's going to be a lot of movement. Of course, the Dodgers are a pretty stable franchise, but still in all, something could happen.
Yeah, never say never, right? 10 years is a long time there. And again, it doesn't mean he would, but he does have that possibility that he could opt out. But that also would present a unique thing too. Like if there are rumors, swirling that Andrew Friedman, who's their president of baseball operations, man, 47, spent a lot of time with Tampa Bay before coming over to the Dodgers. If there was maybe another team that really wanted to bring him aboard, he kind of holds some cards now, kind of, doesn't he? Like, hey, you guys want to keep Otani, you got to keep me around now too. So
never thought of it that way, but you're right.
I might need a little bit of a pay raise. I might need a little something here.
I wonder who demanded that be in the clause. His agent, Otani, or
I feel like it might be Otani if he wants like a comfort level. Like, hey, I don't want to. I'm comfortable with these two guys.
Yeah.
I want to stay with these guys. If there's any change, I don't want to be around here anymore. So, which is like, if I'm Andrew, I'm like, all right, I kind of hold some cards now in this deal too.
Well, that's good because anybody that works in any place, when there's a change of management or whatever, things are run differently.
Mm-hmm.
If the ownership doesn't change but the management does, it's not necessarily in your favor. We've all, in every job you have, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it's like to have different bosses, it's not always pleasant,
right? So I thought that was kind of all right. Maybe a little bit. I know a lot of people are focusing on it from the Otani side, but yeah, if you're the general manager, you got to be feeling pretty good about maybe your job security at this point too. If you want to keep Otani around quickly too. Have you heard the story about Juwan Howard that's been going around the last couple of days? Michigan basketball coach. So there's rumors circulating. This was from a couple days ago. Late Sunday night, there was apparently Howard and their Michigan strength coach was involved in a confrontation at a recent Michigan practice. CBS Sports confirmed the report, but there was some even talk about punches being thrown or shoving or something like that. Now, Juwan Howard was still recovering from open heart surgery, as Jalen Rose, his friend and former teammate, also put out there too. But it's kind of a weird situation. Like, did it actually happen? Did it not? There's some, but again, we've seen Juwan Howard and how, shall we say, he acts sometimes, and not that long ago.
His inner city upbringing kind of comes to the surface once in a while.
He got a little upset with Greg Gard and Krabbenhoft and that too. But it seems really weird because you've got, like CBS Sports can confirm these reports and these other reports, but you haven't really heard a whole lot of other, Michigan hasn't really addressed it or talked about it or anything like that. The Athletic reported that the incident is subject to a, quote, review process by a Michigan administrative board that operates outside the jurisdiction of University of Michigan's athletic department. The school is yet to comment. The Detroit News reported Monday that the event between Howard and this individual's name is Sanderson, quote, wasn't physical. So, I don't know. It's kind
I
of
don't know.
weird.
He always seemed to me like he fits better in the pros
Mhm.
than he does in college. Just seems to me that he does. But and I don't know how good Michigan is this year. I don't think they're world beaters by any means. But and like I said, I've seen them on a time or two. And this Phil Martelli has been doing the coaching. I didn't know Juwan Howard had open heart surgery. I wish him well from that. But he just seems to me like he'd be a better pro coach than a college coach.
Well, you look at, Michigan with their top two programs with football and basketball now with their coaches. Is
Yeah.
Harbaugh going to be back next year? Is he going to be in the NFL? Will he be suspended more for some of the stuff that's going on with that program? And now Michigan with basketball, because I believe after that issue with the Badgers, I mean, they were like, no nonsense, no tolerance, from here on out. And if this are on the up and up, I mean, you got to make a decision, I would think, at that point in time.
Yeah, you do, because you go back and look at this, and if there's ever someone is non-confrontational, it's Greg Gard.
Mm-hmm.
And that was precipitated by Juwan Howard.
Yep.
Gard did not come in there looking to create a disturbance. He simply wanted to talk to him, and Howard was flying off the handle because of the situation that he created.
Mm-hmm.
And Gard was very cool, calm, and collected. Want to talk to him, and Howard went ballistic, is what it amounted to.
For all those people too that said, Gard shouldn't have put his hand on him, that's stretching it, in my opinion.
Oh, that's way out of line.
It's like
he didn't put his hand on him.
He kind of tried to, hey, I want to talk, kind of stop, sort of thing, and everybody just, blame Gard for, starting it by putting his hand on there. I'm like,
okay.
You
shake hands with a guy with your left hand, you kind of grab his right arm a little bit, just to talk to him.
Yep.
He didn't grab it to squeeze it. He just, But no, that's trying to make excuses.
I agree.
People are trying to make excuses for Draymond Green, for what he's done. I mean, he's got a history of doing this stuff.
Exactly.
His apology was hollow. I think, like you said at the beginning of the show this morning, what's his sentence going to be? Maybe we'll see it next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't see it being anytime soon.
Shouldn't be.
Even Kevin Durant came out and said, I hope he gets the help that he needs. I mean, this is a guy who's played with Draymond Green and, has a relationship with him too. But Green's already been ejected 3 times this season.
Yeah, that's way over the top.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. I got some more hoops talk that I want, but I'm saving it for a little receiver defer.
All
right. So I'll get to that and NFL coach receiver defer question too.
Right.
So
I got a few myself.
That'll boy. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back to finish up the second hour with some receiver defer after these quick words. Last call for any questions for Jake Bolks for outdoor tidbits. You can text those on over to our Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Do you want to receive or do you want to defer first?
Doesn't make any difference. You're the boss.
I want to do mine first.
All right.
You
always get your way.
I do. So this is, in case you haven't heard, which I just found out about this the other day, and it kind of surprised me. I'm like, they don't have one already, but whatever. The Bulls, Chicago Bulls, are doing a Ring of Honor now, and so they're inducting a bunch of people all at once. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Phil Jackson. They're doing that whole team together one night. Charles Barkley,
the general manager
Jerry Krause is also in too.
Okay,
but he's passed away, so he won't be there. But Charles Barkley was on Dan Patrick Show yesterday. This is what he had to say about the situation.
Honor, Rodman.
So there's Barkley saying, no, that's going to be weird. That's going to be uncomfortable. They spread it all out, obviously with a lot of drama surrounding Jordan and Pippen right now. And should they spread it all out or get it all over with one day? I'd go and see all that awkwardness.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
It'll be probably the only sellout of the season.
Probably.
Yeah. But, it is what I'm surprised they don't have a Ring of Honor already.
Yeah, I mean, they got the statue of Jordan out there, and obviously number retired and all that sort of stuff. But
are they retired any other numbers?
I'm sure. I think Pippin's is up there for sure.
90. Yeah. The thing that might be the most fun is what kind of a costume will Rodman have on that night? Is he going to come in a wedding dress, or is he, because this guy is a loose cannon if there ever was one.
Well, it's also because they're doing the team that I think it's the 72 win team.
Yep.
So like everybody's going to be there. That's why Warriors, because Kerr, is the coach there. You got the Last Dance that aired a few years ago, so that sparked up everything out there. But I'll be, especially with Jordan's kid. I don't know if they're engaged or dating Pippen's ex-wife and all that.
What?
Oh, that's why you did. That's the awkwardness.
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan's
kid is dating, maybe even engaged to Pippen's ex.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Jordan he's out there saying he doesn't approve of it, but his kid apparently wants Jordan to be his best man whenever they do get married. So
he's got a brother.
Yeah,
they're pretty close in age. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's and of
now
course
that because now this is the oldest kid. He's the same age as my youngest son, who just turned 30, 34, something like that. How old is my kid? 35. And they played, because I remember they were the same age. They played AAU ball against each other in a couple tournaments. So I don't know how Pippen's wife has to be. Unless he robbed the cradle, his wife has to be at least 10 or 15 years older than Jordan's son, because Pippen's got to be in his 50s, isn't he?
Yeah.
She's the kid.
48. Okay. Marcus is 32.
All right, well, this is 16. The youngest son. This is not the oldest son then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Holy man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That does create a list.
And then, of course, you got Pippen the last couple of years kind of saying, for some reason, kind of, going after Jordan there too. So, yeah.
Pippen wouldn't be Pippen without Jordan.
Yeah, it's
I didn't know that.
yeah.
That does create some fun. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Jordan's kid's going to be there. Is he going to bring his girlfriend? Pippen's, oh, boy. I got to be there. I'd love to
I
see
know.
that.
Now you know why Barkley's
Yeah,
I got to be there.
Oh, I didn't know this. I'm
Yeah.
wondering what. Oh,
there's your
Lord.
pop culture
There you
updates
go.
for
That's
the
it.
day.
Didn't know that. Thank you very much.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan doesn't show up, to be honest with you. The
Well,
whole team might be there, but I would not be surprised if Jordan's not there.
Oh, I think he'll be there.
You think
that'd
so?
be pretty disrespectful for his team and
Mhm.
for Phil Jackson and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, Phil's there.
Pippen might be the one.
Pippen,
that
yeah,
I
you're
would
right.
think would not maybe the one not showing up because he's not going to win a battle against Jordan as far as popularity and
No.
the criticism of Jordan. He's not going to come out on top on that. And if his wife is there with Jordan's kid, I mean, holy man, that's unbelievable.
When I guarantee it, there's going to be a camera. I don't know how they'll do it, like if they'll announce every individual player, person involved. But I'll be curious to see what, if they do that and they announce Jerry Krause, the cameras, the reaction from those players based off the whole Last Dance documentary.
Yeah.
Would they do any
won't.
facial expressions? Would they,
They'll probably clap, and he brought them championships.
Mhm.
He put them together. It was just at the end and I think Reinsdorf has to take some of the criticism, for lack of a better term, over the way that team was broken up.
Mhm.
I think Reinsdorf, it's not Krause alone. He's the face of it. He gets the brunt of the media, but I think Reinsdorf, the owner, has to be included in this as well. Now, I think it's going to be done in good taste for the ceremony. Now, the
behind the scenes
Pippen's
stuff.
wife and Jordan's kid, that's something different.
Yeah.
But I think they've all got enough class that they're gonna make this work.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Charles Barkley shows up with a few pops under his belt and starts mouthing off.
See, that's where I appreciate Charles more, because we know, Jordan doesn't have a relationship with him anymore because Charles called out I think it was his ownership abilities, so Jordan took it personally.
Management.
Yeah, and they used to be good friends. I still give credit to Barkley because he still has nothing but praises to say about Jordan.
Oh,
he could hold that grudge too.
Yeah, he just says it like it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, let's face it. If you said if I asked you, what's your evaluation of Jordan's ownership of Charlotte Hornets?
It was bad.
There you go. That's just what everybody's saying. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan has to accept that. He hasn't been near as good a management person as he was a player.
Yep.
Maybe he would appreciate Reinsdorf and Krause a little bit more for what they put together.
Yeah.
They broke it down, which affected him, sooner than they would like to have had that happen. But still in all, he knows how tough it is to put a winner on the floor.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
You can't just draft ACC college kids all the time.
No.
I got another one quickly. So with the report that, Patriots have already made a decision on Belichick that he's going to be done after this year. If you are the owner of the Chargers, receiver defer, you would hire Bill Belichick over Jim Harbaugh. I'm just going to give you those two names.
Defer.
You go Harbaugh over Belichick?
Harbaugh first.
Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh is modern. I think the game is. I don't think Belichick has the enthusiasm anymore. I definitely hire Harbaugh before I would Belichick.
I would agree with that. You got a quarterback in Justin Herbert. Bring in Harbaugh, offensive mind. He had success with the 49ers up until that last year there too. So, the other thing with this, I could see it if Belichick does decide to coach elsewhere, and if it is like the Chargers, I would not be surprised if Josh McDaniels goes and be his offensive coordinator with him over there. But do you think he'll coach if he does get let go?
I don't know. I don't know the man personally, and you don't get to know him through press conferences. Obviously, I don't know what his real motivation is.
Does he want to try to get that win record? I don't know.
Who'll put up with his management style?
Yeah. I wouldn't want him as a general manager.
No, but that's what he is in New England.
I know.
And that's why I think Kraft is getting a little frustrated, the fact that he's so rigid. He like Ted
Thompson.
Thompson used to
Maybe
be
like Ted Turner too.
Yeah, used to be in Green Bay. Well, I don't know what Ted. Murphy's. I don't know what Ted does. Don't talk to him. You're his boss. Talk to him.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing that Belichick is. He doesn't respond to ownership. And I don't want that kind of guy working for me.
There was a video circling around I saw yesterday after the Patriots. I think it was the Pittsburgh game, and Bailey Zappi walked in the locker room after celebrating and hugging Bill O'Brien, high-fiving him, and then he catches a glimpse of Belichick. Bailey does, and it's almost like he doesn't salute, and he completely changes, shakes his hand, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Like on a dime, the whole attitude just changed as soon as he saw Belichick. I'm like, I don't know if that means anything, but it was like completely different. Like the enthusiasm just went away.
Yeah, and I think Belichick is to that point. Give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Give it up.
All right, what do you got?
All right, receiver to fur. The Bucs play worse defense than the Packers.
I'll receive that. Yes, I'll receive that.
Thinking about that Packer game the other night and the defense they played, at the end of the game there's only one end game defensive configuration or strategy that's worse than that. And that was Auburn against Alabama.
Oh, God, yeah.
I keep thinking about that. But okay, receiver to fur. Watson is the injured player that the Packers need back the most. When you talk about Jones and Alexander and Bakhtiari and the tight end.
I'll actually go Bakhtiari if I can choose him.
All right.
To a healthy Bakhtiari.
I think I'm going with Watson because I just think that he
I hate the shuffling around of their offensive line that they're doing. There's no rhythm of that thing at all.
I understand that, but I don't know. But they need help. There's no question. A receiver. I was thinking about this watching these games the last time, and Marino's name was brought up here earlier this morning. But looking at what you're trying to do in the game, and I know this discussion has been going on and on, it's going on in basketball, but Tom Brady to me is the GOAT in football. As much as I love all Johnny Unitas and Bart Starr and Brett Favre, to me, Tom Brady is the GOAT in football. You don't win that many Super Bowls because you look at what's happened in New England since he's left.
I was going to say, does that make Brady even more?
Yes.
Shine more on him?
I just think more and more and more, and he went to Tampa Bay and did the same. I just think that Brady is, to me now, unequivocally the GOAT in football.
Is that a receiver defer question?
Yeah, receiver defer.
Yeah, I'd receive that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Most talented, maybe not, but I think to be GOAT, there's multiple factors into it. You got to factor in a bunch of different stuff. On that note, really quick, because the debate yesterday, a topic was out there, receiver defer being labeled a game-managing quarterback should be viewed negatively.
Defer.
Mm-hmm.
Defer.
I agree. To some it is, and I disagree with that. I don't think it should be viewed as a negative thing.
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
Not at all.
Because, and again, I don't mean this negatively. I believe Bart Starr was a game-managing quarterback.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think a lot of coaches would like their quarterbacks to be a, quote, game manager at times, too.
Yeah. I mean, Purdy is a game manager, but right now they're considered the best team in football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, 2 in. We got one more to go. We'll be back after these quick news updates. Final hour on this Thursday morning. Getting started right now. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll hit up some outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes, conservation warden. It's been a few weeks since we chatted with Jake, so last call for any questions for Jake. Hit us up with a text 715-830-1912. Might be a little bit late. He just texted me right now. So we'll see if we can get him on time or not. But we'll kind of play it by ear right now. We're gonna get back to some hoops talk. Bucks picked up the win last night, although a little drama. Giannis setting the franchise record, and of course, you probably all know by now as we hit up in the first hour the little disagreement about who has the game ball. Pacers apparently took it. It's because one of their players scored their first career point. Bucks wanted it because Giannis setting that franchise record for points, and a lot of disagreements going back and forth over there. But hopefully it's all settled down now and cooler heads prevailed. But the Bucks picked up their 17th win on the season. Next game's coming up Saturday against the Detroit Pistons, who have lost 21 in a row now that they've lost last night's game. We got a couple of hoops games tonight in action. Wisconsin taking on Jacksonville State. Marquette taking on the Tommies of St. Thomas. So you got those two games on the docket tonight for college hoops. College hoops isn't your thing. You got volleyball, the Final Four. Badgers taking on Texas, 8:30 tonight. Nebraska and Pittsburgh is going to be before that. So the Badgers win. They move on to the national championship, where they will take on the winner between Nebraska and Pittsburgh. Could potentially be a rematch between Wisconsin and Nebraska for that national championship. Again, that is going to be on at 8:30 tonight. So you got some options if you want to watch some college hoops or volleyball, or all at the same time. If you got multiple devices for you to tune in on that, you can go ahead and do so. We'll make some picks with these games coming up a little bit later on towards the back end for our picks and predicts segment coming up later on. Brewers will not have, if we want to talk a little baseball here this morning, Brewers will not have Rowdy Tellez returning for them next year. Rowdy Tellez reportedly agreeing to a contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So Rowdy will not be back with the Brewers next year. You look at this team right now, and you kind of look at the depth chart, especially over at first base. There's some names you probably don't really recognize. Jake Bowers, who? Huh? Owen Miller, okay, you know him a little bit more. Jamani Jones over there. Names you don't really recognize. You have to wonder at some point, this free agency, will the Brewers go out there and maybe bring back Santana, somebody out there? But I think a lot of Brewers fans are hoping they make an upgrade at that position. Some more pop, some more consistency. You know, Carlos Santana, if we go based off of WAR ratings, wins above replacement, he's got a 2.7, which is, according to MLB.com, the highest one out there. The highest one out there. He's also age 38 at this point in time. So not a lot of movement so far on the first baseman market. Rowdy Tellez, really, according to MLB.com, the first one to have a major league deal. I got a couple other ones on here who have minor league deals on there. Maybe it'll start to pick up here a little bit, but not a whole lot of big-time names out there on the first base market. But
where did Rowdy go?
Pittsburgh. Signed a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Is
over there.
Canna, the kid they got from the Mets, is he signed yet with anybody?
They traded him.
Oh, they traded him.
Yeah, they traded him a while back to the Tigers.
Oh, okay.
So really their depth chart, the only name you recognize on there is Owen Miller for first base. The utility infielder that they had, a little Wisconsin kid over there too. So I would have to imagine that they're going to bring somebody in, whether it is bringing back Santana, 38-year-old over there, or I know Tyler Black is an option in the minor leagues, but could he be over there at third base for the Brewers? But you look at this depth chart for the Brewers, plenty of outfielders at this point in time, but first base and third base has a lot to be desired there with, Owen Miller, Jake Bowers, and Himani Jones, and then third base is Andrew Monasterio, Vinny Capra, Oliver Dunn. Yeah, names you don't know. Right?
What about boy? I can see the kid that come up and gone back and forth so many times. Played second base, but then he
Turang?
No.
Keston
Hira.
He's a free agent, I believe, out there too. So
because I know he was about done with options going up and down and everything else. And what a sad deal that he just could never quite. He seemed so close, but he could never quite put it all together.
Yeah, free agent. He elected free agency at the end of the season over there too. So, which I
don't blame him.
Nope, not at all. He might benefit from a change of scenery over there. So I know one name, was kind of thrown out there with the outfield depth. Would Christian Yelich move to first? Matt Arnold recently, after the Jackson Cheerio signing, said that wasn't really discussed, and that's not going to be discussed. Is Christian Yelich playing first base at least this year? So things could change. Obviously, I mean, they did with Ryan Braun and that, but at least at this point, I wouldn't expect Christian Yelich to be your new starting first baseman at any point in time.
No, he never showed much enthusiasm for that, and he's still a very good outfielder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but definitely, I think we're all waiting on some moves now that the Ohtani one has signed, and maybe that's the domino, and everything else will kind of.
But I don't know why, because he is so far in his own world. I don't know what the ones that are waiting for that haven't signed yet think they're going to make more money because Ohtani signed for that much. I don't think that's going to have an effect on anybody's contract.
No, I think the only thing would be these teams now know that they're out of it, so they move on to plan B, like Bellinger and whatever, Cody
maybe
Bellinger
if the teams
and that.
haven't been real aggressive.
Yeah, those teams that were trying to get Ohtani, okay, now they're not. What's your plan B? Giants apparently really tried to get him. Do they have a plan B, plan C, D? I know they signed a couple guys over there too, but now it's kind of that dominoes like, okay, next up, Yankees got Juan Soto. So
do you think the Cubs were really in the Ohtani sweepstakes? I don't think so, because I don't think that family that owns them wants to spend.
I think maybe they saw the $700 million and said, no, thank you.
I wonder where they dropped out. They were out long before $700 million, knowing their history. How much are they going to sign Bellinger? Are they going to go after Bellinger? That'll tell you exactly what they're going to do.
I think that's got to be their next one, especially with
Counsell.
Well, but now the Yankees, because that was talked about, but they got Juan Soto now, so that takes away another team for Bellinger. So, which that Yankees outfield, like Aaron Judge, a 6'7" center fielder right now, is just mind-boggling to me, running around out there.
But the thing is, can he stay healthy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you got Stanton. Can he stay healthy?
Oh, and then
Juan Soto. I mean, good Lord. I don't know.
Yeah, if they all ever get hot at once and can stay in the lineup for more than 20 games, then they've got potential to be a pretty powerful team. But going forward, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Yankees have much more. Well, they got a lot of money, but I don't know why they would go after any more outfielders. I don't think that's their need now.
No.
That's why Bellinger, like you said, has lost the Yankees as a team. But I don't know if this family that owns the Cubs really and truly wants to spend all that money.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know. That's why I was surprised they went in so deep and so far to get Counsell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of been quiet right now. But it's been really quiet all across Major League Baseball in terms of, big free agents.
But now that the winter meetings are over, I would expect something's going to happen, because they were talking in bars or pools or someplace about trades.
Talking about first base, Pat Murphy the other day answering some of these questions, and he was asked on who will play first base. He said, to say I haven't thought about it would be lying to you, and I haven't done that yet. We traded for this kid, Jake Bowers, who I've known since his days in San Diego, and he's got incredible potential. We've got other candidates that are either on the team, Owen Miller, Jones. We've got some options right now. I don't know exactly what's in the hopper of what else we can do here, but I'm sure there's other people that there's ongoing conversations that Matt Arnold and his crew are having, but I'm not exactly sure. I know what our options are. So he doesn't know. He
Because
doesn't
you
know.
don't have anybody that's ever stood out in any way, shape, or form that could be head and shoulders above any of the rest
Well,
of
it's
those
been
guys.
since Prince Fielder that I feel like they've had there was, I think Brandon even had a nugget about this for years. Like, how many consecutive years has there been a first baseman that started consecutive years, like 2 or maybe 3 years since Prince Fielder? And I don't think there has been.
Mm-mm.
I think maybe till no, I don't know. Opening day, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it all, but that's something that has not been consistent for them for a long time over at first base.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And they've always kind of filled in the gaps with these veterans that they try to get on cheaper deals and such. So, but yeah, I think I would still like the let's try to beef up the infield, corner infield over there.
Receiver
First and
defer
third.
with the, and I know the roster is going to change. Well, the roster they got now, receiver defer, the Brewers won't make the playoffs.
Well, Brewers think they are because they're holding on to Corbin Burns, but I would defer it right now.
Yeah, without Woodruff this year and Wade Miley's back, but and they've got some good arms. There's no question about it. But third and first, and these young guys have to come along. I think there's a lot of potential there, but you don't win on potential. That's the challenge that they've got, to find somebody at third, find somebody at first that can put the ball in play on a consistent basis and put it in play in the outfield. Hit it on the grass, as they say.
Yep, exactly. So, just a quick note. I just got a text from Jake. He's not going to be able to hop on. He's in the middle of an investigation right now.
Ooh.
But he will. I'm going to send over your questions, and he'll send them back to me. So then I'll just relay them on the air over there. So just give you guys a note. So I know we got a couple questions. I will text them to him, and then he'll text me back those answers. So. Tell you what, let me do that now because he needs them quick. So we'll take a quick break, and then I'll send those questions on over. We'll be back after these quick words. All right, we got a couple of nuggets here, our outdoor tidbits from our good friend Mr. Jake Boakes, Wisconsin Conservation Warden. Not able to join us via the phone. He's in the middle of well, he's doing his job right now. So, but I was able to text him some stuff. And for you, Dave, who texted in this question, what is the law regarding having a gun rifle in the front seat unloaded? What if you have a regular cab truck? I heard of someone getting a ticket for having their rifle in front with them. Jake says you can possess an unloaded, uncased gun anywhere in your truck, even between your legs as you're driving. Obviously not recommended. The law is that you cannot have a loaded gun anywhere in or on your truck, whether it's running or parked. The note here, a loaded gun is a gun that has rounds in the chamber and or in the magazine. So if the chamber is empty, but magazine is inserted with rounds in it, it is a violation. All right. So that's from Jake. Also, just a couple of tidbits for ice fishing right now. He says the ice is still pretty sketchy in the Chippewa Valley. Got to go north if you want to get some decent, safe ice. Nothing too special with some other seasons going on. Just bow hunting's open right now. Some muskie seasons closing around the state too. So just a couple of notes there from Jake, who's thanks for him sending over those answers for everybody. I know he's in the middle of an important job right now, so appreciate that from Jake.
And you know, there. It's for ice fishing. I know guys are, like I said earlier, at bowling, guys getting anxious to go ice fishing. Some have, but you know, you got to use common sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really do.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go out there, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got common sense.
But yeah, I've been seeing some pics out there, some pictures, and all that stuff. So, if you have some good pictures, I know I got to add. I know some of you have sent some pictures over for our trophy gallery. I got to add those up. Yeah, but keep them coming. I will get to that. I will add those. But big thanks to everybody who's been sending some pictures. But once we get into more ice fishing season, if you get anything, send them on over so we can add them up. When was the last time you've gone ice fishing? Have you ever gone ice fishing?
Oh, years ago. Okay. We went to more for fun than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody's got an extra package of bluegills or crappies,
oh, you'll take them, right?
And put them in the freezer. Yeah, I'll take them and sample them for you.
So we'll keep those questions coming, though. We'll hopefully have Jake on the air. I know it's been a couple weeks since Jake's been on, but just everybody's schedules and that, and kind of that busy time of year, wrapping up deer hunting and, now ice fishing, hopefully, maybe starting soon here if we get some decent, consistent, colder temps out there. So
not today, 48 and sunny. Some places further south going to be close to 50. So again, just be careful. Common sense.
Right.
Boy, oh boy.
Exactly. So, all right. Let's talk some more hoops tonight. We're going to make some picks coming up a little bit later on here. In turn, we're going to do some volleyball and a couple of college games tonight, all of local note here, state note, if you will. But last night, Bucks picking up the win over the Indiana Pacers. A little revenge from last Thursday.
Boy, they're hard to watch for me. The Bucks are hard
Bucks,
to watch.
Why, is it defense or what?
Yes.
Okay.
It just looks like it looks like.
Do they miss Mike Budenholzer?
Yeah, well, but looks like an unorganized scrimmage. It's first guy across the half court shoots it type of thing. They're hard for me to watch.
So do they miss Mike Budenholzer?
Well, for that side of the ball, I would say I'd have to say yes. I haven't watched them enough to know really what's going on, and I don't know how happy Damian Lillard is to be there. I really don't. And he hasn't said anything, and he's obviously on a team that's going to finish pretty high, but right now, the way they play defense, they got to get better at defense, or they might not make the conference finals.
Let me bring up some numbers for Mr. Dame Time coming up here. Bucks dropping $140 last night. At least this game lived up to the potential, or lived up to the hype of the scoring, unlike their in-season tournament matchup where everybody was freaking out about how much scoring was going to happen. At least this one actually lived up to it. So,
they can put points on the board, but
both these teams, yeah.
And their rebounding has to get better. Wow, I was on the road listening to it, and I think the first quarter, Indiana had 8 offensive rebounds. Can't do that.
Damian Lillard. So I'm just looking at some of his numbers so far this year compared to his career. Points per game is very similar. He's a career 25.2. This year, 24.8. Assists are similar. He's a career 6.7, although this year he's averaging 7.
I'm not questioning.
No,
his
I'm just going.
all, yeah.
I'm going through some of the numbers here. Regular season, same. Because I was curious about 3-point percentage, which is down a little bit this year. It's down 3 points. He's a career 37.2 so far this year. 34.6. So a little less than 3 at this point. And I know he did say before the in-season tournament too that he did acknowledge that there's still kind of chemistry issues, but he did say that's the scary part with this team is that we're still figuring it out. And at that point, they were 15-6. So I know
they're a good team. I'm not saying that. It's just for
him
me.
and Giannis have been spending a lot of time off the court, I guess, together too, even at each other's houses. So I think he's good.
I think he's great.
No, I'm thinking I meant good as in happy.
Good.
Happy.
Well, I hope he is. Yeah, no, because I think he's a great player and a tremendous addition, and he just brings something different than Holiday did. No question about it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely different. I saw it was a podcast. There was a couple former players on there. They're talking about I think this topic, and they thought defense will get you a championship, but defense don't win you championships in basketball. They said, would you buy that? That another receiver to her?
Yeah, that's one of those where I can agree with it, and to a certain degree, and I can disagree with it to a certain degree. I mean, I don't care what sport you're playing; you got to play some defense. You don't just outscore everybody all the time, because there are times when, the basket's going to have a lid on it, and I just think the Bucks got to play better defense if they're going to go very far.
This was I tried to find it, but this was a different one. This was from Jason Williams, the former point guard. Actually just a couple months ago. I can't say some of the words he said on here, but he said, are you going to take 5 Ben Wallaces or are you going to take 5 AIs? Allen Iverson, he's not a proponent of defense, although Jason Williams wasn't the greatest defensive player back in the day.
No, but I think that's kind of a silly question because you never, ever, you make a combination on your team. You want both of those on your team. You don't want 5 of one. You don't want 5 Giannis's. That's not going to work. It's just not the
That's
way
not the greatest
successful.
example.
No,
by any means.
No,
so,
I don't think so either.
I still like the Dame move, bringing him in because you got another creator.
I think it's a great move. I'm just saying I hope he's happy because I don't want him to be halfway through the season and start sulking. No, and that's all I'm saying. I think it's a great move. He's a great player. I have nothing against it. I'm just hoping he can stay happy and they can mesh, and really become a team. But like if he said we're a work in progress, and I think they are. They, like you said, they have 25 games into the season, maybe, or
29, yeah,
29,
a little over first quarter.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to still be done, but I want to see
24.
I want to see the defense get a little better because there are a lot of points scored in a Bucks game. Let's just put it that way on both sides.
24 games in, so there we go. Yeah. It was like 20%, 29% in. So 17-7. You're one game out of first. I think he'd take that any day than what Portland was doing the last couple of years. So.
Absolutely. I think he would too.
And I know there's been that talk in the last few days, last week about, Bobby Portis apparently was after the in-season tournament, kind of frustrated and challenging his coaches and players to be better. And that I personally think, is it going perfectly? No. Is there issues? Yes, there is. But I also think it's so heightened by the fact because the expectation is so high with this team that if there's a little bit of a crack or if there's a little bit of something that's going wrong, it's super focused. It's super hyper focused right now. I mean, you're one game back from Boston, which I think we knew was probably going to be Boston and Milwaukee coming out of this conference, right? I mean, those were the top two. Yep. And you have a first-year head coach. And I think that when that move was first made, that also instantly put some pressure on. I was like, oh, is that the smart move to give this job to a franchise that has championship goals to a first-year guy? That heightened it up. Everything, I think, is just so super hyper focused right now that if there's a little issue, it gets kind of blown up.
But I know when I watch the Bucks, and I still haven't watched a complete game, but when I watch them this year versus when Budenholzer was there, this guy seems like he doesn't coach as much as Budenholzer. Now, whether that's a wrong impression, I don't know. But during the game,
more of a player's coach, probably letting the players do whatever they want.
Saying. He doesn't seem to coach as much as Budenholzer did. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know. I just noticed that he's different.
Yep, and it gets to that whole, I think, debate about players coach or coach, like, because I'm sure if this isn't out there already, it probably will at some point. Is he letting the players get away with too much, maybe a little bit? Whereas Budenholzer, was he a little too stingent, and that's what wore thin on something? I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know. But we see that how many times in sports where you go from one style coach to the next, right? Green Bay was kind of like that. McCarthy, maybe his authority got a little too stale. LaFleur comes in. He's more of a player type of coach. We see that.
I think after this last game, though, I think he's frustrated with a lot of his players, and I think he shared that.
Mm-hmm.
What he shared,
and you have to.
But I mean, what he shared in the media was more, I think, than we've heard from him in past losses. And so what he shares with the media, do you multiply that, or can you multiply that, what he told the media versus what he told his players? I think he was probably a little more graphic when he was talking to his players in the locker room about his response to their performance on Sunday against the Giants. So, I think he's maybe after that game going to be a little more.
Well, you have to with a younger team. I mean, it's not like he's letting the inmates run the asylum or anything like that.
No, but I mean, he's been pretty soft-pedaled so much earlier. I think Sunday we heard that we're what are we 13 games into the season. You're not rookies anymore. You played in this league now. For 3 months, you know the speed of the game. You know what to expect. You guys got to be better.
You do, but I would also argue too with those rookies that this is the most they've played, and it's an adjustment because the max games they've played in college is probably 12. A lot of these guys have played 16 games now. It's an adjustment. You have to get used to that.
And I think so too, as far as where they were drafted and their expectations. I mean, I'm disappointed in the kid, their first round draft choice. But one of the things that I saw when I was over there watching games, here it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 8, and he's on the sidelines. What did they draft him for?
Well, I know you're not going to like this, but it's the Rashawn Gary route. His first year he wasn't out there either.
I realize that.
So but patience, old man.
Well, no, his first round draft choices, I think they've got to be on the field. I think when you draft a first round draft choice, you're expecting a guy that's going to be.
But his position, he's not going to be out there ahead of Rashawn Gary or Preston Smith right now. So you could question the pick, but that they're following. That's who they have, and that's. I don't want him over Rashawn Gary at this point. And Preston Smith's having a really good year too. I don't want him getting playing time over those two.
No, but when it's 3rd down and they're going to be passing, why do you put him in the line someplace? And you got these slow defensive linemen in there that when the Giants give up more sacks than any team in the NFL, and we didn't catch their quarterback.
No, that's an issue there. Yeah, absolutely.
I think put more speed in the field, more speed on the field.
Well, he was out there, and then he got burned a couple times.
Well, I know he did. He lost his responsibilities, that's for sure. But I think as a first-round draft choice, I expected more out of him this year. I always do. Of a first-round draft choice, I expect more than a 3rd or 5th or 7th round draft choice. And I'm just kind of disappointed in what he's done.
Don't throw a towel on his career.
No, don't do
that. We've learned too many times not to do that.
But as a first-round draft choice as a rookie, I expected a little more out of him. I think he's going to have a very good to great career. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, in his 3rd and 9, he's got speed. Put him on the field.
They do with their first round picks. It is something you've seen like the last few years. It seems like their first round picks are more of a patient pick, molded a little bit more than like their 2nd and 3rd rounders they put out there right away. I don't know if that's really, but that's the thing that kind of comes when I think about these last few drafts. like even Jair Alexander when he was first drafted, they brought back Tremont Williams, and I think he might have been like the third on the depth chart or whatever right away. And
I think
ultimately,
the last first round draft choice that had an impact rookie was Clay Matthews
I would put Jair on there.
as a rookie.
Yes,
Would you?
Yep. I'd put Jair on there too.
I don't think he's had as much of an impact or had as much
Well,
of an impact.
remember Clay Matthews didn't
Crosby.
even start the first few weeks either.
No, but when he got in there,
because he wasn't a starter. I technically I don't even know if he was a starter for half the season.
Well, when they got in there, I think coaches realized he should have been a starter. but it's with rookies, young players, yeah, it's a growing process. I don't argue that. It's just that I think this kid from Iowa's got a lot more potential, but I don't want to see him on the sidelines on 3rd and 8 because let's face it, Barry doesn't have a system, and I think you got to try some things now because are you going to make the playoffs or not? And I think the status quo of his defensive calling for the rest of the season has got to be stepped up a little bit. You got to try things.
I was looking at something. All right. I don't know, but must-win game.
Oh, no question about it. Well, Monday night was a must-win game too.
Well, they're still in that playoff spot right now,
I know
so they
are,
still
but
control
7
their.
and 6 would be a whole lot easier.
Control their destiny. I'm moved on from the Giants now.
Yeah, but you can't make a guy like DeVito the NFC Player of the Week.
Hey, now, come on.
Mamma mia,
come
what are
on
you doing?
now. His dad got shown on TV more than T Swift the other night there. So
I think so.
Kind of got a little overplayed, I will say. But not to down on the guy, I think that was a little bit of a stretch to name him Offensive Player of the Week, but whatever.
Well, I think it was because in the AFC,
Zach Wilson.
So two
New Yorkers.
Two under-regarded New York quarterbacks. I agree with you. I think it was kind of convenient for them to name those two as the players in the conference both weeks.
Yeah.
But still, he did more than he should have been able to do.
DeVito, maybe it's something he has against Wisconsin, because remember, he was the Illinois quarterback that ended Paul Chryst's career at Wisconsin.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a quarterback at Illinois.
Oh, really?
That when they beat Wisconsin, Paul Chryst last game, he had 3 touchdowns that game.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yep. So maybe he just has a personal vendetta against Wisconsin. I don't know.
Well, whatever he carried it out twice. That's for sure.
Yeah, because he was he originally started at Syracuse and went to Illinois. So, or Brett Bielema. Really?
Yeah,
I don't know, but yeah, he's
the
like
dreaded transfer portal got us again.
He's Wisconsin primary target numero uno right now.
But we don't get a shot at him now for a long time.
Yep. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll do some picks. All right, we got volleyball Final Four tonight. Badger hoops back in action. Marquette taking on the Tommies of St. Thomas. We'll make our picks after these quick words. Time to do some picks and predicts, brought to you by the Elbow Room here in Eau Claire. Elbow Room now carries Man Cave Light over there. So if you're looking to check out a location, it's got some sweet memorabilia, sports memorabilia all around the place. Check out the Elbow Room. Plus, we chatted with Garrett for the latest episode of the podcast where he talks about his memorabilia collection as well. All right. Just got a few games to pick here. We're going to pick an NBA game, though. We got Timberwolves, the number one team in the West, 17-5, versus the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks are favored by 1.5. Who are you going to pick for this one?
I'm going to take Dallas. I watched the other night. This guy,
Luka?
Doncic is unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if you watched that game the other night, and one of the passes he threw under the basket, and he threw it back out to the top. I mean, this guy you don't think he can do what he can do because he's a big guy, stout guy. Oh, I got to take him. To me, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I really think he's a special player.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
That Lakers game where he was kind of toying with him a little bit there too. Yeah.
Oh golly, that was fun.
Timberwolves coming off of a loss against New Orleans, so I'll ride with the T-Wolves tonight.
All right.
I'll go with the T-Wolves.
Where's the game played?
Dallas. It's in Dallas.
I'm going with Dallas.
Let's go with the Badger Hoops team at home, number 23 in the country, going up against Jacksonville State, who is 4-6 on the season. Wisconsin favored by 19.5.
I'll take the Badgers, but I'm not picking them to cover. But Guard has got to learn when he played Arizona. You cannot put a roster on that floor. There were times where he had 4 and sometimes 5 guys on the floor. They can't score. You got to have stores on the field. You got to have players on the floor that will at least look at the basket sometime. Sometimes he had a team on the floor, never looked at the basket. You just can't do that.
Can you say anything nice about a coach this morning?
Yeah,
you've gone
say
after Adrian Griffin. You've gone after Matt
I didn't.
LaFleur.
I just said
you've gone after Greg Gard.
I didn't go after any of them.
Oh, bull! You
I
just
said,
can Greg Gard,
you can't put that's the only criticism. I didn't criticize the Bucks coach. I said he's different than Budenholzer. I said is he coaching? When you watch him, you say, is he coaching?
But can you say something nice? Is what I said.
Well, sure. He's got a team that's winning.
Okay. Well, so are the Badgers.
Yeah, but I'm just saying against Arizona,
they're the number one team in the country.
I realize that, and they're very good. I didn't expect the Badgers
to
beat
something
them.
Nicer than that. Come on, it's the holiday season, Bob. Come on.
I like the fact that Guard wears a coat and tie on the sidelines. I do. I do think it's kind of shabby the way these college coaches show up at the games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've lost the decorum that they used to have, and I do not like that. I'm proud that Guard and his staff wear coats and ties. And I think Guard's a good coach. I'm just saying that the roster he's got, you've got to have players on the floor that can score. I never expected him to be able to play with Arizona in any way, shape, or form. But you can't put a roster on the floor for 5-6 minutes where you don't have guys that look at the basket. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they're
he's a good coach. He won 2 games that beat Michigan State, and he beat Marquette. He had guys because they were looking to score.
Their freshman guard Blackwell had 17 coming off the bench. That was the only thing they really had there.
Yeah.
Let's go. The Tommies of St. Thomas visiting Marquette. Marquette favored by 25.5.
I think they'll win, and I think they'll cover. It won't be like Northwestern against Chicago State.
Yeah, I think Marquette wins and they cover too.
Yeah.
On that.
Kolek is really a good player, and he really brings out the best in a lot of other players. And I think Shaka Smart has that program really going in a good direction. He can.
So you have something nice to say about Shaka Smart, but not. I'm just kidding. No, I'm giving you a hard time.
No. But I think I think they're all good. I have nothing against Greg Gard. I'm just saying that when you're playing some of these teams that are so offense dominated. I mean, in 98 points, he should have probably had 110 or whatever. But
that's a positive then, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I just think you've got to have more offensive type players on the floor. Yeah, I don't know why he had Store on the bench for so much of that game, but in my mind, too much on the bench. But they weren't going to win that game. There's no way they were going to beat Arizona. So, but I think Marquette's going to win and cover.
Mm-hmm. Volleyball. You got Pittsburgh versus Nebraska. Both 1 seeds.
Nebraska. I've never seen Pitt play, but I'm thinking of that number 27 for Nebraska, that young lady that came from Harbor, Michigan. She went to Nebraska. She left Michigan for Nebraska, for Lincoln, Nebraska. The number 27. She's, to me, all around the best player I've seen this year. I haven't seen a lot of different teams, but I've seen a few Big Ten teams and a couple others. But that number 27 for Nebraska, she's good, real good.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Nebraska as well.
I talked about their volleyball coach earlier, how good a coach he is. What are you talking about? I don't say nice things about coaches.
Well, that's in Nebraska. That's not Wisconsin.
Kelly, I talked about
Kelly Sheffield, yeah.
Sheffield being a good coach.
Okay, there's one. There's one. Got
to start someplace.
Texas or Wisconsin. We'll see if you continue this now.
Yeah. Oh, I think Wisconsin's going to win.
Okay.
I really do. I'm just, they just seem to have the vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ever since they got those that little, if you want to call it a little bit of a rut, that losing streak there a little bit.
Well, that big Schmeck, is that her name? She was out for a couple of matches.
Mm-hmm.
And she came back now, and I think
they got the groove going now.
They righted the ship, so to speak.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin as well, setting up for that
Nebraska
big matchup.
And Wisconsin, a rematch.
Yep, I'm all for it too.
Oh yeah, so
I think that's going to be a heck of a national championship.
On Sunday afternoon.
So go Wisconsin.
I don't know where it is on TV as far as the networks are concerned.
Well, I know the matches for tonight are ESPN, so probably still,
okay.
Yeah,
right.
Still up over there too. So down in Tampa. So
good. Get some of that soccer off that ESPN tries to push down our
Look
throat.
at that. Ebenezer Scrooge again right now. Jeez Louise. I mean, come on.
How much of that soccer do you sit and watch?
How much do I watch soccer?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
A little bit when it's World Cup.
Yeah. But
Olympic, whatever.
You're not watching this other stuff.
I got other stuff going on.
Champions League and all these other things.
I don't have a problem with it. I just don't watch it.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I'm not going to sit there and say, get off my TV.
Well, you don't watch it, so they're not on your TV.
Well, I'm not going to go out there and tell everybody I don't want this on my TV like you just did. I don't care if it's on TV.
I don't watch it. Well, I don't care if it's on TV either.
Well, you just said get off my TV.
It is off my TV. I don't watch it.
Well, no, you just
said the channel.
Yeah, well, you said then it won't be on that station. Like you're upset that it is on TV.
No, I'm not upset.
But then you just said it.
Now
it won't be on my TV. Now it won't be on my channel. So
you're trying to create something that's
no,
not
I'm not. You just said get that soccer off my ESPN.
No, I didn't say
yes,
that. Yes,
you did.
I said I don't. I said ESPN plays that soccer, and I said how much of that do you watch?
Well, we'll go back to the tape here.
Yeah, you go back to the tape.
Throw
the red flag out there.
The challenge
flag. Throw the challenge flag.
Yeah, you might need Jordy Nelson to pick that up for you, like you did for Mike McCarthy one time. So. Hey, DP's got a poll about the whole Giannis thing. Who should have got the game ball? Wide majority for Giannis. Apparently, I didn't know this. I did not know this. If you want to get technical about it, that wasn't the kid's first point.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
But the technicality of it is his point came in the in-season finals, which doesn't count in NBA statistics.
What do you mean in-season?
The in-season tournament final championship against the Lakers. He scored a point in that. But since that's an 83rd game, that doesn't count in ESPN or NBA stats.
Well, then why do playoff points count in NBA stats?
In playoff numbers, yeah. But these numbers, those don't count.
LeBron's career scoring record.
That's regular season.
So all those numbers that all these guys have as far as the points they've scored in their career, playoff points don't count?
Well, you got the regular ones, and then you got playoff numbers.
No, but I mean, when
LeBron's scoring record, those are regular season numbers.
So when his career is over, his total scoring numbers are only going to be regular season.
They have it in separate categories: regular season and then playoff.
No, but I'm saying if I say how many points did Michael Jordan score in his career? What number are you going to give me?
They're going to give you the regular season, but that's why they have records for who has the most playoff points, who has the most regular season. The one that LeBron beat Kareem with was regular season points. Regular season points. But for this in-season tournament, those numbers don't count. They're not factored into it.
When it's NBA sponsored, it should all count together.
So he got a point in there, but since it doesn't count, that point that he had against the Bucks goes down as his first career point.
Don't think that's right.
So
as long as I'm going to be negative, I'm going to be negative about that too. I think that's a statistic that they're handling completely the wrong way. If you score it in an NBA uniform in an NBA sanctioned game, whether it's regular season or final or a new in-season tournament, it should all go on your record.
Preseason too?
What's that?
Preseason games?
No.
Well, it's in an NBA uniform.
Yeah, it's in an NBA uniform. But again, you're not talking standings. It doesn't make any difference.
Well, I'm just saying because you said if you're in an NBA uniform.
Well, if it's counting towards the standings in a regular season or a tournament. Preseason, same thing for baseball. You're going to, the spring training going to count on your overall batting average.
Teams win TVs at first.
Well, maybe give the kid a TV instead of a ball.
Yeah. I just saw Paulie Paps from DP. He posted that up there. It's a technicality. I don't know. Put yourself in the shoes.
I never thought of it. I thought you scored a point in the playoffs, scored a point in the regular season. It all goes to your final total.
Yeah, 60.
I didn't know they differentiated.
61.5% said that Giannis should have got the game ball in that one. But I don't know. If it were me, I feel like my first point personally would have been literally my first basket in a game. Champion, whether it was an in-season tournament game or not. To me, that would have been my first point. Not,
because nobody wins. Nobody hangs a banner for winning spring training. The Lakers are going to hang a banner for winning this tournament. It's a little different than the preseason and everything else because, how many guys you got playing preseason games that are never going to get a uniform?
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. It's just the way it is. But so I think the kid's first point was give him that basketball.
Yeah, it says which point, because Paulie put up the question, which point or which do you consider to be Oscar's first career point? Is 1 point against the Bucks. I don't think he meant versus Pacers because he's on the Pacers, or is 1 point against the Lakers. Player stats don't count towards season stats in that in-season tournament. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, if that's where they're going to handle it, that's where they're going to handle it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
If it were me, if I was Oscar, I would feel like my first point was in that in-season tournament.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that's the way it is.
I wouldn't want the ball for my second point.
If I get called up and get to go to the big league club in spring training, hit a home run. I haven't hit a home run in a big league game. It's spring training. It doesn't count. I mean, personally, I hit a home run in a big league game, but my career isn't going to show that I hit a home run in spring training.
Yeah.
Personally, it will, but and I want that ball. I want to put it on the shelf. But as far as my major league stats, not going to happen.
Go take a nap, Ebenezer.
Merry Christmas, bah humbug.
Have a good day, everybody. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, just past 6 a.m. Chat with you then.